let's jump back to JFrog, shall we?
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to DevOps Roundup. I'm Sean Doyle, and this is my co-host, Alex Cortez.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. So with the upcoming JFrog conference, or by the time this airs, will be the previous JFrog conference. This should come out the week after the JFrog conference, or the week of.
Either or. We'll figure out the scheduling.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But it will happen either after the event, regardless, because we publish on Fridays and the event ends on Wednesday.
Exactly, and this week's video is already published or scheduled anyway. So yeah, we'll figure out when you're watching this, and you know what day it is when you're watching this.
If it's after the 10th of September, then it's definitely after that.
So I thought it would be interesting to look back at SwampUP 2024 and go through the major announcements that were made at the conference and see which ones have come true or which ones have JFrog held to in the last year, and which ones didn't quite make it to off the shelf into the customer's hands. And then compare it with what announcements are made at the 2025 conference that Alex and I will be at next week.
Yeah. And I'm really interested for this because I mainly only go to the Atlassian conference, the team conference. And we got a running joke that whatever Atlassian announces on that main keynote stage, expect that functionality to be available in Jira in approximately 364 days. They tend to do it right before the next conference.
Right before the next conference. I think JFrog has a much better track record. But prepared a little slide here. We'll throw it up here. So there was about 7 or 8 different major announcements, and I've consolidated them down to these 5. And so we can quickly go through these, so this here is just a summary. But a number of the announcements really were partnership announcements. And so I've wrapped them up into one topic. So the very first one.
Yeah, what is JFrog Runtime?
Yeah. So this is their security play for active deployments. So once you have something out there web-facing or customer-facing, this is their security tool that gives you real-time detection. So this is actually a real product. I can resell it. It's available. So this is something that it's been almost a full year, but I believe that this was available shortly after the conference last year.
And when they make these announcements, are they like Apple usually goes up there and says this is going to be available in the spring or in the fall, especially at the developer conference, right? They have the tendency of doing previews of new UI or new key functionality, and then they tell us come this fall, usually in alignment with the new iPhone release, you'll get this functionality. So does JFrog do something similar?
At least give you a ballpark. So usually you can tell how confident they are by how specific the announcement is. So if they say the fall, you can say, okay, they're not that solid. But if they actually give you a date or it's available now, and those are the most exciting announcements. And a number of these, and if I'm remembering correctly, Runtime may have been one of them. It's been a full year. This could have been, hey, it's available now, and you can go download it and buy licenses.
Now, JFrog makes a lot of products, right? Not just Artifactory, which is usually how I know them as.
Oh, that's how the majority of the world knows them, is through Artifactory. But yes, they do have a number of other products.
So this JFrog Runtime appears to be its own product.
It is.
Now, was that known at the time? Was it marketed like? Was it presented that way? That we're gonna make a new product called JFrog Runtime, or was it like we're gonna enhance one of the current products to include JFrog runtime?
So I believe that runtime was in the works for more than a year prior to this conference. I'm not positive they were calling it runtime until the conference last year. It's probable that they were, and it also came in through an acquisition. So you know how your favorite company, Atlassian, acquires a lot of companies, and they just turn the main product for that company into a product, or just rebrand it
Yeah.
into a product. So runtime was not exactly just a rebranding. I believe that they put significant effort into turning this into a polished product for JFrog after the acquisition. And I believe the acquisition was almost, I'll say, 8 to 10 months, not quite a year, prior to the announcement that this new tool called Runtime. Some of this I'm kind of trying to pull back from my memory from a year ago.
Now,
So
how do they announce pricing for this stuff when they announce these things? Do they?
Oh, they don't. No,
Okay.
That's something the audience has to go figure out. So they very rarely will talk pricing up on stage. And so JFrog, unlike some of the other vendors that you're familiar with, their direct sales channel as well as their partners, and there's special deals and negotiations that happen often on a per sale basis. So it's unlike if you go to the GitLab or GitHub site and you can see, hey, this is the price. You can do that from the JFrog site as well. But so the next one was their machine learning models, and so basically they now have their own. So Artifactory now understands ML models as a first class citizen. So meaning when you're developing software and you're developing in C or Java or Go or whatever language, Artifactory has a template for that, a style of repository for each one of those. So basically, JFrog ML is a version of the JFrog Artifactory repository that understands the ML models directly.
And of course, it wouldn't have been a 2024 presentation without some mentioning of AI.
Oh, 99% of the announcements were about AI.
Yeah, that was a trend last year. It's died down a little bit this year.
Well,
and then if you're Apple, they don't even know what AI is.
No. Are they just holding off and then going to surprise us all at once with some major innovation?
I don't know. It's so interesting because Apple's the only company that has not made any headway with AI. Like all the other, like
Great.
Google I/O is only AI.
Yeah. Well, have they
crazy.
extended Siri at all to be more of an AI agent?
No, but they keep firing everybody that's in charge of Siri.
Well, that doesn't bode well. So this has actually come to fruition fairly quickly. Right after the conference, it was fairly shortly after the conference, you could start backing your machine learning models into Artifactory.
Does Artifactory charge you by the gigabytes or something? Because I'm assuming a machine learning model would take up a lot of space.
So the answer is it depends. I said yes, probably a little too quickly. If you're using the SaaS version, yes. Depending on what tier you're on the SaaS version, you eventually will start hitting the consumption licensing or consumption charges. So yes, if you go over the limit, then you start getting charged based on how many megabits you're over. So you definitely got to be careful of that. If you're on the SaaS version, if you're on the on-prem, no, there is not. You're paying per server.
So let's back up then for a second. For these announcements that we've covered so far up to, what was it, just the last two?
First two, yeah.
The ML and then the platform. The runtime. Do they differentiate then whether this is an on-prem or cloud or SaaS? solution or offering that they're going to?
They do, and some of these are only available on the SaaS version.
So they, but they still give a little bit of love to their on-prem, from what I'm seeing.
They while they have a similar push to cloud that most SaaS vendors, there's not as much pressure to force people off the on-prem. On-prem is still that's where they're still making the majority of their money, is Artifactory on-prem.
Okay.
So their SaaS version is definitely growing in popularity, but a lot of their existing customers came from data centers, and so there doesn't look like that's going away anytime soon.
It's nice to see that sometimes. It's refreshing.
It is, with the amount of unrequested changes that is happening at one of our other friendly vendors. I kind of find it relaxing when I can control the influx of changes and new versions and things like that.
Yeah. I think we do need to have a conversation one day, maybe in a future episode, of, do you ever foresee a future where everybody just like 180s on SaaS just because we're all tired of getting nickel and dime for every cloud provider in all aspects of our lives?
I definitely think that is a possibility.
Like, would you ever go back to owning a DVD or a Blu-ray because Netflix and all those things are just so ridiculously expensive now?
Since you brought that up, I was actually looking to get a combo VCR DVD player that could also.
I remember those.
I had one. I've misplaced it. I'm not sure where it is. But I was cleaning out my garage. I moved into this house 5 years ago, and I still have about a quarter of my garage that we didn't unpack. And most of we haven't needed. So I've been slowly going through that corner of the garage and deciding, hey, is this something to donate? Is this something, that we throw away or keep? And I found two, what do you want to call it? 2 containers of old VHS tapes. So pretty much every Disney movie that was produced before 95 or 96.
The ball ones, all the classic. I have some of those.
Yeah,
I have a lot of them.
I have
50.
Yeah, there was way more than 50, but yeah, I just had so many of them. All the Thomas the Tank Engine VHSs, which was my son's favorite. Just so many of them, and then some random movies I have no idea why I have or whoever bought them. But I'm like, well, all the stuff's available streaming, but should I, set up a VCR or something? So if, ever had kids over, I could pop one in. It makes no sense because I can just, put on Disney Plus and let them watch it.
But you don't own your stuff, and every month, every year, the prices go up with everything. I think there's got to be some sort of a tipping point. There's got to be a point where the cost of SaaS or to rent stuff is more expensive than the cost of owning it.
Yeah, they very well could be, and it may even parallel the in the early 2000s there was a big push to outsource everything, and that came to a particular, I guess,
equilibrium.
Yeah, not sure why I couldn't pronounce that right now, but where we saw a lot of companies pull back from that. We didn't see all companies pull back from that. In fact, there was a couple of, one main consultant that I can think of that eventually came and worked for me, that he went around the world, mainly India and China, and basically taught them his job, and then he got laid off after he did that. But he anticipated that's what was going to happen, and he came over to work for me for almost 10 years. Great consultant, but even that company did not see they didn't see the value that they expected, and they, while they continued doing that kind of stuff, and even down in Ecuador and I'm not sure if it was Argentina or Brazil, but I guess it's kind of nearshoring at that point. They ended up rolling back a lot of the job functions to United States and European offices, but I think the cloud's going to follow the same pattern. Everyone overdoes it because of promises and expectations of savings and scaling and all the things that cloud promises, and because of costs they pull back. We had a large defense contract that pushed heavy to do things in the AWS Gov Cloud, and it was very successful until they realized how much it was costing them, and then they rolled back almost all of it, which I overall thought was a mistake. But they went to an in-house virtual environment using VMware, and this is before Broadcom bought VMware, and the functionality that they rolled back to was maybe a tenth of what they had in AWS Gov Cloud, because they could scale and spin so many test environments up, where even though they were virtual, they could only spin up what the resources could support. And I think it was a mistake, but it's a pattern that we're seeing out there, that customers are already rolling back from the cloud. I think it's a very small percentage, but the pattern is there. So
I guess, as they say, only time will tell.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever see a 100% pullback from cloud or any technology, but I do think that things will even out. And so, release team, DevOps tool specialists. We provide professional services and software reselling around the leading software DevOps tools like Atlassian, GitLab, GitHub, JFrog, and others. To talk with us about DevOps, here's our contact information. Please call 866-887-0489 or via email at info@releaseteam.com. The cloud and SaaS-based services have a lot of benefits, but so does maintaining your own environment. It kind of goes into liquid software. Have you heard of that term?
No, I have not.
So it's a good term to bring up in JFrog, because JFrog invented it, and they wrote a book called Liquid Software.
Never heard of the term.
Yeah. So it basically means that the vendor is going to roll out changes when the vendor wants to roll out changes. So that's probably saying, that's over summarizing it, and kind of with the kind of being a little bit too negative in that. But that's basically, you as a consumer shouldn't worry about the version of the software that's running. You should let the vendor take care of it. Now, that throws up a lot of red flags for me as a configuration manager, a CM type, that I'd like to have. I'm not scared of changes, but I'd like to control them. And if we go back to your favorite vendor, they're obviously playing liquid software, because
dude, they're so liquid. They it's not even a solid. You can't even see their liquid. It's like a gas.
You're saying it's a gas? Yeah. So
that thing sure changes on a day-to-day basis.
It's ridiculous what you wander into. You kind of hope that other employees don't beat you too.
Well, not only that, but it's I forget who, but one of the marketplace partners, they made an interesting observation. They're like, okay, like you said, I love what you just said right now, right? I'm not afraid to change, but I like to control it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so let's be receptive. Change is going to happen, right? Especially in the SaaS world, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And this company I was listening to here on vent a little bit on LinkedIn, they made a comment of like, okay, change issues to work items, awesome. Yeah. We'll go and update all of our code, all of our documentation, all of our training material. We're updating it. It's no longer issues. Out with the issues, in with the work items, right? And then freaking Atlassian, not even 5 days later, oh yeah, by the way, Spaces is now a thing in Jira. They're like, great, now we got to redo.
Yeah.
And it would be great if Atlassian gave it to us like in a package. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, here's 20 changes.
Yeah.
We'll see you in 6 months.
Yeah. Well, that's the old model. You used to only get software changes, every 6 to 12 months. and then you had the ability to schedule them on your timeline. But I'm not sure which vendor we can blame first, but some of them we're getting monthly releases now. To your point for Atlassian, who knows? They're not monthly. They're not timed. The release notes barely make it out before the changes there, if they make it out for the changes.
And the release is so sporadic too. Like I'm usually privy to being in 10, 15 different Jiras at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go into each Jira and I'm like, oh boy, this hasn't caught up here yet.
we see the same things. It's rolled out to some of our customers, but not all. And for some reason, we seem to be on the bleeding edge of changes. I don't believe we've asked to, or maybe they recognize that we're a partner and they want to push out to partners first. It's definitely not alphabetical because I fall in the bottom part of the alphabet. So we're not sure why it seems that so far we see the changes first. But let's jump back to JFrog, shall we?
Yeah. And wrap this one up.
Yeah. So the next big one was the GitHub integrations. And I don't know if I've seen evidence of all of the GitHub features that they announced actually in play. I believe that they are. I just don't have firsthand knowledge that these are all there. So it'll be interesting to see at this year's conference, if they double down on these, or if they, if we can see demos of exactly what they're doing inside GitHub. Interesting enough, GitHub is one of the Expo sponsors. So we should be able to talk to GitHub to get their perspective on the JFrog integration.
Is that customary to see kind of demos on the show floor?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Pre or post announcements?
The demo or the expo usually opens up like around lunch on the first day.
Okay, now, so you'll hear the announcements and then
usually you'll hear the announcement first. I say usually because I do believe there was one year where the expo opened the night before the conference and their big opening ceremony type thing, or whatever you want to call that, cocktail hour the night before. Now, this year I don't see one listed in the conference agenda. It just starts off with the Tuesday morning agenda. So typically the agenda will say 7 to 10 the night before that there's some sort of cocktail thing. So I need to do a little more digging, but it's not on the official agenda page.
I thought I saw it somewhere though. When we did our last episode, or one of the episodes when we're covering this stuff, somewhere I thought they had something for the 8th.
Well, there's a expo crawl that is kind of like a cocktail hour type thing, but also the gala dinner, which is happening on the first day this year, because it's really only a 2-day conference, and in the past it's been a 2.5-day conference. So that's something different than having kind of a welcome reception. But I wouldn't put it past them that there isn't a welcome reception. I just don't see it listed anywhere.
I could have sworn.
If there is, we will.
Oh, there is. Yeah. No, there is. Yeah, if you go on the FAQ page, they have evening on training day. So they're not calling it the day 0 of the conference, but it says training day, which is basically the day before.
Day 0, yeah.
Yeah, they have a welcome reception in the evening.
Okay, so interesting. That's not on the agenda page.
Yep. No, I'm like, I know I have seen it somewhere, so it's there.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure why we were talking about the opening reception, but we will definitely be there. So if you're there, this is already this conference has already happened. So hopefully we saw you there.
And we already took the selfie with you.
Yeah. Post your selfies below, and we'll come up with a raffle or something. So it's one of the things I used to. Well, I still do. As I gather stuff in my travels, going to conferences, I will typically have a in-house, internal company meeting where I will raffle off things on my desk. And it's usually things that I've been gifted from vendors or expo hall folks. So, but anyway, now we'll see if we can bring some stuff back from JFrog that we can give out to our
Have I told you? So my wife lets me collect swag only because it becomes a Christmas gift for the kids.
Yes, you did mention that.
So we have all the games that we do for the holidays, and it's like I have a box of swag, and it's like people get random stuff. But I've been told I'm not allowed to get shirts, and if I'm gonna get shirts, I have to get sizes for my kids or her.
Oh, well, your oldest is probably wearing a pretty big shirt by now.
He is. He's pretty tall though.
Yeah.
All right. So strategic partnerships.
Well, yeah. Before we talk about the partnerships, let's go back. So I used to have, well, I still do have a plethora of backpacks from conferences. Every conference I used to go to would give you a really good quality backpack. And that's what my kids used going to school. And I think it was my daughter that asked if we could buy her a real school backpack, and she can I stop using the IBM or the Rational backpack? Nobody knows what ClearCase is at school.
Yeah.
But anyway, not as funny as I thought it was going to be.
No. It's reminding me because I was at church this weekend and I was looking at around people, their clothes that they're wearing. I'm like, dang, I got to get better clothing because every shirt I have is a walking billboard of something. Yeah, like right now I'm wearing a Boeing shirt.
I'm wearing a racing shirt for Summit Racing.
I'm always representing some conference or brand or something that's not me and or a regular plain t-shirt. And it's just reminding me that, my kids, when they're out there, they're wearing very sponsored socks. And
I don't know if anyone really can narrow in and look at somebody else's socks. But yeah, socks became a thing like 10, 15 years ago. I never understood it. And I do collect the socks because I give them all away. I've got some employees with kids and they eat up the socks. They enjoy them. I don't really want to wear branded socks. So, well, anyway, strategic partnerships. There was really two big ones that JFrog announced last year. NVIDIA, and the NVIDIA one, you can see that they're doing a lot of work with NVIDIA. NVIDIA making Artifactory the source of truth for the AI assets, and GitHub. There's these other big partnerships.
NVIDIA, which they're going to be there.
Yeah, and NVIDIA and GitHub will be there as well. And then the very last one, and the one that has the least evidence of it actually meaning anything, was this everyops. So they're trying to play on DevOps and saying, okay, that there's an umbrella on top of DevOps, and we're going to call it everyops. I don't see this as taking traction over the last year. So we'll see if they continue doing this, because it's not an actual product that we can tell, but it's supposed to unify all the DevSecOps, DevOps, the ML ops into one entity. I agree with the bullet points here that I think it's interesting. I haven't heard or seen it in the wild taking traction. I haven't heard anyone talking about, we perform everyops or we subscribe to everyops. DevOps and DevSecOps seems to be the same thing, what
this would do? We should get a LinkedIn post going of like which of these ops is made up. Because we had the GitOps, right, from the one time we tried to do an episode on GitOps.
GitOps is a real thing, and it's something you can practice.
And ML ops is the real thing I'm seeing on JFrog's website. Apparently, every ops is too, and so we'll do like your ops.
Your ops. Up your
One of
ops.
these is not true.
Okay. So
Let us
there.
know in the comment section. We gotta run a post though. We gotta run a LinkedIn post. You know what? I'm gonna put that one together.
Okay. So yeah, these are the things that we're going to be looking at the conference next week, and reporting back on what did we actually find. Most of these I've seen evidence, except for part of the GitHub integration and obviously every ops that I'm not really sure how much traction it's made. It's definitely not a lot, but the other ones, they came through. Which is a pretty good track record for announcements at conferences. There's a lot of things at other people's conferences. I don't think I can say this about JFrog, but a lot of the other conferences I've been to, that over 50% of the announcements turn out to be vaporware. So you might argue that those vendors are just being agile, and that didn't make sense after the conference, and so they pivoted. But that is being very generous. All right, well, this is where we're going to leave part one, and we'll map this up with part two, and after the conference, maybe even we'll have a little bit of stuff from the conference on this.
Yeah,
episode.
and then if you're not connecting with us on LinkedIn, make sure you connect with us, because I can assure you, my LinkedIn is going to be all conference related content for 3 days.
Same here. Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we'll kind of say bye here in case we split this into 2 episodes.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.